Just 1 cup. That's all I need. Please let it be enough. The mess hall of Outpost Kestrel 9 smelled of recycled steam and boiled grain. The only warmth left in a station built from scrap metal and stubborn hope. Snow-bright stars pressed against the reinforced windows, and beyond them drifted the broken hull of a transport ship, the same one that had carried Sela and hundreds of others away from a dying colony 3 weeks ago. Refugees stood in a long, silent line, clutching ration cards, waiting for their 1 meal of the day. Sela stood near the front, her silver hair damp from the melted frost outside, her pale violet skin catching the flickering overhead lights. She was small among the crowd, barely reaching the shoulders of the humans around her, and she counted the coins in her palm again, as if counting might change the number. Didn't. She was short just enough to matter. Behind the counter, a tired vendor scraped the last ladle of soup into a cup and set it down, waiting. "That's $4.80, he said, not unkindly, just worn thin by 100 repetitions of the same sentence that day. Sela's fingers trembled slightly as she separated the coins. 1, 2, 3. Searching for a fourth that did not exist. Her stomach twisted, not from hunger alone, but from the humiliation of being watched. Behind her, the line had grown restless. Dozens of exhausted faces waiting their turn, children tugging at coats, elders leaning on canes. She lowered her eyes and began quietly to step aside. "Wait." The voice was calm, low, unhurried. Ethan Cole, a human soldier still in his patrol jacket, dust from the docking bay clinging to his boots, stepped forward from a few places back in the line. He hadn't planned to speak. He hadn't planned much of anything since arriving at Kestrel 9, just to eat, rest, and report back to his unit. But something about the way the alien girl's shoulders curled inward, the practiced patience in her retreat, stopped him cold. He reached the counter and set down his card. "Put hers on mine," he said. The vendor blinked. "Just hers." Ethan looked at the line behind him, the tired mothers, the shivering children, the old man leaning against the wall like it was the only thing holding him upright. He thought of home, of lines that never should have existed, of hunger that no uniform could excuse. "No," he said. "Everyone behind her, too. Whatever it costs." A murmur rippled through the mess hall, disbelief chasing surprise down the line. Sela turned, her blue-gray eyes wide, uncertain whether to feel gratitude or suspicion. Kindness from strangers had grown rare since the colony fell. "You don't have to," she said softly, her voice carrying the careful accent of someone still learning the human tongue. "I know," Ethan said. "I want to." The vendor, stunned into silence, swiped the card without another word. Steam rose from the cup as he pushed it toward her. Sela wrapped both hands around it, grateful for its warmth, and for a moment forgot the ache of standing small in a world too large for her. As the line moved again, a security officer by the doorway stepped closer, arms folded, eyeing Ethan with real suspicion. "You know that card is tied to your unit's ration allowance, soldier. Command won't like you burning a week's credit on strangers." Ethan didn't flinch. "Then tell Command the strangers were hungrier than I was." The officer studied him, then stepped aside, muttering about soldiers and soft hearts. An old woman near the front paused beside Sela, pressing a trembling hand to her chest. "Bless you, child," she whispered. The blessing meant as much for Ethan as for her. A young boy tugged his mother's sleeve, pointing at Ethan with wide, wondering eyes, as if he had seen something from an old story. Sela only nodded, her throat tight, unable yet to find the words she wanted. "Sit with me," Ethan said, nodding toward an empty table near the window. "If you don't mind sharing space with a stranger who just spent his whole week's pay." She hesitated, then allowed the faintest smile. "For soup this good," she said, "I think I can manage the risk." They sat as the line moved behind them, murmurs of thanks passing from person to person as each received their meal. The debt Ethan had claimed quietly worked its way down every hungry face in the hall. Sela watched it happen with something like wonder, an act so simple, yet rippling outward like light through broken glass. "Why did you do it?" she finally asked, cradling the cup. Ethan considered the question longer than she expected. Because somebody should have done it for my people once, he said. Nobody did. I don't forget that. Sela studied him, this human who wore exhaustion like a second uniform, who had nothing extra to give and had given it anyway. Where I come from, she said. Kindness like this used to be common before the war took the color out of everything. Her fingers traced the rim of the cup. I forgot what it felt like. Then don't forget it again, Ethan said. Not on my watch. Outside, the storm intensified against the viewport, but inside the mess hall, warmth had nothing to do with temperature. Around them, refugees ate in something close to peace for the first time in weeks, children laughing quietly, elders nodding gratitude toward the soldier who hadn't asked for anything back. Sela realized, watching him finish his own small portion without complaint, that he'd given away more than a meal. He'd given the entire line permission to feel human again, or in her case, permission to feel less alone in a universe that had taken everything else. When the meal ended and the crowd began to disperse, Sela lingered a moment longer at the table. I don't know how to repay a debt like this, she admitted. Ethan stood, offering a hand to help her from the bench, an old, simple human gesture that suddenly felt like the beginning of something larger. You don't owe me anything, he said. Just don't stop counting on people, even here. She took his hand, her fingers cool against his calloused palm. And for the first time since the transport ship had left her home world behind, Sela allowed herself to believe that kindness hadn't vanished from the galaxy. It had simply been waiting for someone brave enough to offer it first. As they stepped out into the corridor together, the storm outside began to quiet, as if the universe itself approved. Behind them, the mess hall lights dimmed for the night, but the warmth Ethan Cole had left behind lingered in every face that had eaten because of him.